Why does the church have suggested donations for Masses? To find out, stick around. Hello, my name is Father Ambrose Little, and I teach philosophy at the Dominican House of Studies. Welcome to Aquinas 101, Big Questions, Little Answers, the series where I do my best to answer your big questions about philosophy, theology, and more. Someone asked us, could you explain the theology behind making a donation for a Mass intention? This is a good question, especially because it is wrong to buy and sell spiritual things. We actually have a word for this. It is called simony. Now, it is precisely because simony is wrong that the Church does not charge for the sacraments. However, because there are still material needs that have to be met, the Church can request donations from the faithful for the Masses they request for particular people and needs. But we may wonder, is this just a price tag by another name? No. In the case of a price, money is exchanged for a good or service, and the price has a fixed value. In the case of a donation, the money is given in gratitude and for the upkeep of those who provide for the spiritual goods. The act of providing donations for the upkeep of God's ministers is very ancient and has scriptural foundations. Let's see what Scripture and St. Thomas say about this matter. St. Thomas uses a technical word for this type of donation. He calls it an oblation. St. Thomas says that an oblation is anything offered to God, whether it be a sacrifice of a lamb or a bull, an offering of bread or wine, or money for the upkeep of the temple and the priests. When we give a donation to the Church to have a Mass said, we are making an oblation, that is, an offering to God. One reason for giving an oblation is so that you, as the giver, may personally share in the offering of the Mass, which is why most Mass cards list the person who makes the donation. Second, these offerings are intended for the support of priests. In the Old Testament, this is mentioned in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 13, and Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 15. This is not just an Old Testament custom, however, because Jesus uses almost the very same language as Leviticus and Deuteronomy when he says in Luke's Gospel that, quote, the laborer deserves his wages, end quote. St. Paul reaffirms this teaching when he writes in 1 Corinthians, quote, do you not know that those who perform the temple services eat what belongs to the temple, and those who minister at the altar share in the sacrificial offerings? In the same way, the Lord ordered that those who preach the gospel should live by the gospel, end quote. So there is a lot of scriptural support for this practice. A third reason for giving an oblation is that these offerings go to the support of the poor. The Church is charged with giving to the poor, and so the oblations the faithful give for Masses are used to help others. The difference between simony and an oblation is certainly a precise distinction, and problems can arise on the side of the giver and the side of the minister of the sacrament. Simony is when we try to pay for the graces of the sacraments themselves. For example, say I'm giving X amount of money, with the intention that I will receive a certain amount of grace credit in return. That is not how grace works. As we know from the story of the widow's mite, it is not the amount given that determines what is pleasing to God, but the heart of the giver, who gives to God with a heart full of love and trust. Therefore, on the part of the giver, what is given in an oblation must be given from a sense of gratitude, with the desire to give back to God at least a little from the blessings he has given to us. On the part of the minister, the diocese may ask for a certain amount to support the needs and upkeep of the local church, so that priests may continue to serve the people of God. However, a priest must not think of the sacraments as goods to be sold for a price. After all, the sacraments are not his own to give, but come from God above, and the priest is only an instrument of God's mercy. And so if someone cannot offer the usual donation, a priest ought not to withhold the sacraments. In sum, the Church asks the faithful to give a donation so that they may participate in the sacrifice of the Mass and share in the upkeep of the Church for the salvation of souls. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Big Questions, Little Answers. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, may God bless you and keep you in His grace. I hope that answers all your questions, but if not, please let us know by submitting your big questions using hashtag #AskAFriar on our learning platform, in the YouTube comments, and on social media. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends, because it matters what you think.